Beautiful people, hello and welcome to the final episode of this season. My name is Jamichael, and the podcast you're listening to is called Marked by Words, the place where themes and lessons leave a mark on you, just like a tattoo. Just like a tattoo. The place where themes and lessons leave a mark on you, just like a tattoo. Today's episode revolves around how resentment can leave you burned, and how sometimes you'd want nothing more than to return that very burn you once felt, even if that meant involving someone who's rather innocent. The name of this story is called Surprise. A quartet of shot glasses slammed onto the wooden counter, making the perfect sound of sweet, drunk music. A cascade of hands found their way onto my shoulders, making me shake and shimmy from the reverberations of love.
Happy birthday, G!
My friend said in unison. With an awkward look, I scanned the bar, making an effort to see who was or wasn't looking our way. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, I responded. Hey, it's your birthday? Some random man at the bar asked. Let me buy you a drink, buddy. What would you like? I gently shook my head and reached out to shake the man's hand. Thanks, but that won't be necessary, I suggested. Our Uber is here and we're heading to another bar. The man gave me and my friends a look of disappointment, but nodded his head as if he completely understood, then went about his way. Everyone began to gather themselves so we could exit the bar. I was halted. Before I could even make it to the exit, one of the bartenders tapped me on the shoulder. Hey, birthday boy, he said. A young lady got you a drink to celebrate your birthday. The bartender pointed out this woman who happened to be sitting at this table. When our eyes met, she raised her drink towards me with a smile. I returned the gesture, and while still keeping eye contact, I took the shot. Her smile grew a little more, and we didn't take our eyes off of one another. Soon our moment was ruined when all my friends came back asking questions, wondering what I was going to do, etc. Hey, you guys can just go ahead without me, I suggested. I'm gonna go make sure I thank her for the drink. My friends looked at one another with big smiles and just shook their heads as they made their way to the next bar. I took a deep breath before I turned around to make my way over to this young lady. Once I got to the table that she was sitting at, she tapped on the seat that was next to her and I happily obliged. Nice of you to join me, birthday boy, she said with a smile. The biggest, most gorgeous smile. Well, thank you for the drink, I responded while putting my hand out. My name is Jamichael. She leaned back in her seat and looked me up and down, then met my hand with her own. Destiny, she stated. And I know your name. Everyone was saying it while wishing you a happy birthday. Happy birthday, by the way. We both shared a smile and I placed my hand behind my neck. Oh, so you heard, I said with sarcasm. Oh, I couldn't miss it, she laughed. I also couldn't help but notice how awkward you got when everyone was giving you attention. A man who prefers to be low-key, huh? Even on his birthday? I like that. My eyebrows raised a bit. Enough about me, I suggested. I love your name. Is there a story behind it? Destiny continued to stay leaned back in her seat, as if I was in her office interviewing for a job or something. She just oozed confidence. My parents were trying to have kids for a while, she said. It wasn't working out in their favor for years, actually, almost a decade. Wow, I said. I know, right? She responded. But my dad always said that he and mom were destined to have a baby. With all the love that they had, it couldn't just be shared between two people, you know? And during the 10th year of trying, they had me. Then they named me Destiny. That is such a beautiful story, I said in awe. Destiny smiled. So, does that mean that we were destined to meet tonight? I playfully asked. We laughed for a moment, then just stared in one another's eyes. She then adjusted herself and leaned in towards me, whispering in my ear. It was really nice to meet you, but I think we're going to call it a night while I'm ahead. With a puzzled look, I jumped back in my seat. She smiled again, shrugging her shoulders. Hold on now. Wait a second, I said. It's barely even 9 o'clock. Okay, hear me out. There's this lounge close by, literally walking distance. I know we just met, but how about I get to know you more? With a look of surprise, Destiny sized me up once more and nodded her head in approval. Once we made it out of the bar, we began our walk to the lounge. I tapped her left side, gently pushing her into the inner part of the sidewalk. She smiled and looked at me for a bit, before gingerly looking away. Once we made it to the lounge, we were greeted, and they let us know that we would only have to wait a few minutes before being seated. After asking for a small booth, I grabbed Destiny's hand and led her to the bar. Might as well get a little something while we wait, I suggested. Destiny smiled, closing the gap between us as she wrapped herself around my arms, and continued to do so, even after we got our drinks. Once we were finally seated, Destiny moved closer to me, so close that I could feel her breath on my neck. She kissed me on the cheek, and I immediately turned to face her. She smiled and then gently kissed my lips. What was that for? I asked. I know this is your day, but I can't help but notice how you've made a point to tend to me. You've already made me feel safe. Our faces were still close to one another. For a while, neither of us moved. I smiled and placed my hand under her chin, bringing her lips closer to mine, sharing a much more intimate kiss this time. After some time had passed by, we heard someone clearing their throat, and as we stopped, we saw a waiter looking at us. Oh, I'm so sorry. Destiny apologized. No problem at all, he assured. Would you like to place another order of what you already have on your tab, or would you maybe like to order something from the food menu? Destiny and I looked at one another, shook our heads, and looked back at the waiter. We'll just have the drinks, we said in unison. The waiter nodded and left. For a while, Destiny looked at me, not saying a word, then finally asked, What are you thinking? She asked. I smiled and put my arm around her. Tell me about your family. From the story you told me, it seems like y'all are pretty close, right? Destiny adjusted herself and cleared her throat. Our waiter came back with our drinks, and as soon as they were laid on the table, Destiny grabbed hers and took a big swig of it. She started. Yeah, well, we've always been close for the most part, but not as much recently. My dad and I haven't been seeing eye to eye over the years, and my mom kind of just stays out of it. Oh, I said with surprise. I'm sorry. Why aren't you two seeing eye to eye? If you don't mind me asking. Just with personal decisions, Destiny responded. You raised me the right way, so why not trust me? But yeah, we just haven't been on the same page, and sometimes it creates a bit of tension. We sat in silence for a moment, just looking at one another. But anyway, Destiny continued. Tonight is all about your day. Let's not bring it down with my sad shit. Sure, I responded. Yeah, it's technically my day, right? But how about it be about the both of us tonight? Destiny smiled and wrapped herself around my arm again, pulling herself closer to me, kissing me. She then grabbed her drink and held it up in the air. I followed suit. To us, she shouted with a giggle. To us, I repeated. Then our glasses kissed, like we did not too long ago, and we took the biggest gulp that we could. We placed our drinks back on the table while giggling as if we were doing something we shouldn't. How far do you live from here? Destiny asked. Maybe 10 minutes? I answered. Why? I think it's about time to call that Uber, Destiny said as she took her phone out and began to scroll through it. She handed it over to me and I began to put my address in the app. You don't want me to take care of it? I asked. No, birthday boy, Destiny said. I got you. We managed to get an immediate pickup for our Uber. Our driver was just right down the street. I handed Destiny her phone, and after she took a look at the screen, she hurried us both up. We chugged the remainder of our drinks, closed the tab at the bar, and made our way out of the lounge. When we finally made it home, Destiny let out a sigh and began to stretch. Whew, I love your home, she said as she began to take off her shoes. Thank you, I responded. Let me give you a quick tour. Well, as you can already see, this is the living room, a place of pure comfort and solace. Solace, huh? Destiny mocked. I then gestured her over to the next part of the tour. And the kitchen, I continued while showing her the inside of my fridge and the pantry. The place where there are plenty of food and snacks. Well, that's good to know, because I do love to eat, Destiny said as she took off her jacket and tossed it on my couch. I smiled and grabbed her hand, but she led the way. Let me guess, she said. Is this the bathroom? Yes, I said with a giggle. Ah, I see, she continued while she led both of us to the last room of the tour. And this must be where the magic happens, she boldly stated. Or where it could happen? She said softly as she slowly approached me, placing her hand on my stomach as she made sure that her lips met mine. I pulled her in closer, pressing my chest against hers, then we both moaned as we continued to kiss. She began to unbutton my shirt and I did the same in return, kissing her neck and returning back to her lips. She then unbuttoned my pants. But before doing anything else, she reached into my pockets and grabbed my phone. She scrolled through it for a while, then stood my phone up on the nightstand, facing the bed. With a perplexed look, I turned towards her. She just placed her finger over my mouth. Let me give you a night to remember, birthday boy, she said, then pushed me on my bed, where she mounted me and proceeded to give me the best birthday gift I ever had. I woke up early in the morning to a dark room and a light peering over my shoulder. I turned around to see Destiny's back towards me as she sat on the side of the bed looking down towards her phone. Good morning. What are you doing? I asked. She quickly turned around to face me and gave me a smile. That same smile she always had, and then handed me my phone. I reached for it and looked it over, seeing that she sent the videos we recorded to her phone. Going over some game footage, huh? I joked. When can I see you again? There was a pause. Destiny turned away from me, letting out a sigh while placing her hand on her forehead, then turned back towards me. I don't know if you'll want to see me once I tell you something, she said. Squinting my eyes at her for a moment, I then asked, Are you in a relationship or something? She shook her head with that smile of hers, but tears began to roll down her face. I sat up in the bed and made an attempt to grab her hand, but she moved it. My dad, Destiny began. He's never been a fan of people that look like you, and he wasn't subtle about that to me. My hand covered my mouth. I always wondered how he could so consistently talk about loving everyone, but hating the idea of his daughter dating or eventually marrying someone who has skin that's a little different. I began to stutter, but Destiny continued anyway. This hate was something that I didn't understand, and honestly, it created such a rift, such resentment between us. He ruled over my life so much that I started to hate my life, hate myself. Destiny, what are you saying? I interjected. She began to cry even more. I saw you at the bar, and you seemed so nice and pleasant. I just wanted to do a kind gesture for you on your birthday, but as we spent time together, I thought about how you made me feel like myself. I haven't felt that in a while. And honestly, I blame my dad. Tears began to roll down my face. I saw opportunities present themselves tonight. Destiny continued. A chance for me to feel safe, to think about what could be. And I also saw a chance to make my father hurt. That's why I sent him the video of what happened between us tonight. Wow. Let's take a deep breath, shall we? Thank you to everyone who has chosen to listen to today's episode, this third season, and the entire podcast as a whole. This is a journey that's full of so many things to look into, to consider, and I'm sure the moments that prompt us all to take a good look in the mirror aren't the easiest things to do. So thank you. If you enjoyed the work, tell a friend to tell a friend to listen in. You can also stay up to date on the latest episodes by subscribing on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. The Marked by Words podcast was brought to you by me, Jamichael Prude. in hopes to bring forth creativity through storytelling and conversations highlighting a myriad of subjects. With season 3 coming to an end, we may take a break to live life, to be inspired, and maybe push out some other projects as well. Who knows? But what do we think? Would you like to jump into a 4th season sooner rather than later? And if so, what lesson or theme would you like me to dive into? I guess we'll see. But in the meantime, beautiful people, thank you for listening.